In this video, we're having a look at the RoboRock Qrevo C robot vacuum cleaner. Hi, I'm Lee. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. Now, this is the first robot vacuum cleaner we've had for probably a decade. We had one like ages and ages ago, but then when Archie was born, the house was covered in stuff, and so we didn't feel like we trusted a robot vacuum cleaner to not suck up everything, so we just haven't had one. And RoboRock reached out and said, would you like to try this one out? So glad to do it. Some really cool features. So I want to go through some of the features. We'll go through some demos and some of the tests that I did, and then we'll go through sort of like the overall look of my overall thoughts and summaries. So a little bit about the specs and stuff in terms of what it can do. So at the moment, the normal price, according to the website, is $1,699, and at the moment it's on sale. It is now June the 1st. It is on sale for $1,299. So on sale it's $1,300, and normal price is $1,700. And I think that's important to keep in mind, because I had a bit of a look around at like various different models and makes and things like that, and this seems to be sort of like the middle of the range in terms of pricing. So you've got cheaper ones and you've got much more pricier ones, and this is sort of somewhere in the middle. And I think, as usual, I always believe you get what you pay for, so keep that in mind with the specs. So some of the specs that the Qrevo C has: it has 12,000 PA hyperforce suction. I'm not sure what that means, but basically the vacuum part of it sucks up stuff really well. It's got what they call a triangle tangle system, where basically it's got multiple different brushes designed to deal with long hairs and things like that. So basically, one of the challenges with all vacuum cleaners is that, you know, if something gets in there and it gets caught in the spinning bit, that can sort of get it to seize up and stop working. So first of all, it's got this little it's got this little brush on the side that will brush dirt out of the corner and into the, you know, underneath it, so it can suck it up from beneath. And it's got this clever little thing where it's got the brushes. It's not a single brush, it's two brushes. So because it's got two brushes, why that's sort of good is that it's less likely to get tangled, because if one gets tangled, the other one can keep going and it kind of sort of loosen, in theory, what gets tangled. So that's quite a nice feature. Another nice thing is that this vacuum cleaner will also mop as well as vacuum. So it's got two little mop things around the back. Cool feature of this one is the one on the right hand side can actually go out of where it is. So normally, like, they just sit underneath it, but this one can actually go out to the side, and that way it can get into the corners and mop the corners better. Like it can reach places that, you know, you wouldn't sort of deal with that. So that's looking at some of the sort of vacuuming features and the mopping features. The other nice things is the dock with these smarter vacuum cleaners that you get these days, because the dock automatically does a lot of things. So there's a couple of water tanks on there, one that you fill, one that you leave empty, and what it'll do, it'll automatically fill a little bit of water into the vacuum cleaner, so when it goes out to mop, it's got water. Little spoiler alert, we found an interesting thing about whether you put detergent or not in that, but we'll get to that later. A really clever thing that it also does, it'll actually dry, it has these blowers that dries the mop with warm air, so it'll do 45 degrees Celsius, which is not hugely hot, but it'll dry them, not quickly, but it will dry them. So basically, it was actually quite cool. When we were doing the tests with this, our house is bigger than I thought when it comes to a robot vacuum cleaner, so I had to go back a couple of times. It'll actually get to a point in the mopping where it'll go, oh, the mops are too dirty, I'm going to go back and clean the mops and then carry on mopping. So it's really the smarts of these devices that, for me, are the big sort of selling point. It'll automatically empty the dust tray, so you've got a dust tray in there as well, which, again, you can access that with a single hand and pull that off and get to it, so you can empty it when it needs to be emptied. But they say it'll, you know, it's a 2.7 litre, I think. So you've got quite a lot of time before you have to actually empty that, and it's smart enough to tell you when it's time to empty it, which is pretty cool. So self-mopping, all that kind of stuff, really nice features. Another nice feature with the mop is that it will actually raise itself 10 millimeters when it goes onto carpet. So when it goes onto carpet, so let's say it's going on the floor and mopping the floor, and then it gets onto carpet. If you mop carpet, that's not going to smell very nice or be very nice. And so it will actually lift the mops up when it's going over carpet or a surface that it shouldn't be mopping. It will also lift itself over the edge of things, not a huge amount. I think it's 4 or 5 centimeters. I'll put it down here in the description so you can see exactly what it is. But it will actually lift, like, we've got a small lip between our living area and the passage, and it'll just sort of It is actually quite cool. It actually sort of, if it gets there and it can't do it, it'll actually pull back and sort of do like a little ramp and sort of ramp itself up, which is nice. Setup was really easy. Take it out of the box, attach the mops, you know, put water in the water container for the clean water. There's a little QR code to scan to set it up. The setup was really, really easy. You know, you just scan and it adds it to the app. So let's have a look at the app. And the app that you have for RoboRock is extensive and huge in terms of the kind of stuff that you can do with it. So the first thing that you do when you add your RoboRock is you set it to go and scan your house, and it'll do its little thing and potter around, and it'll create this map of your house. So you can see here that it's created a map of the house. Now it will create one big map, and then you can assign different rooms and give the rooms different names. So for example, here you can see that we've got our living room, our kitchen, our corridor, and then it's got these two things set as rooms. So I actually want to rename this as this yellow area as a bathroom, because that's our other bathroom. So in here, if you tap on edit map, you can see map details. See, ooh, 3D, I didn't even see this before. That's cool. And then you've got matrix. I've got no idea what matrix is, but I'll check that out later. And you can then, you know, rotate this and spin it around. So if your house is in a different orientation, but for me this is just fine. You can, okay, so in here you go room names, so you can see where the room names. You can customize it. You can set your floor types. If you know that one floor is all carpet, you can tell the vacuum cleaner. It'll actually work it out, but if it hasn't worked it out correctly, you can tell it to work it out. You can tell it where there's furniture, you can tell it where there's obstacles. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do in there. You can set no-go zones, you can edit rooms, you can edit surface, you can edit furniture. Let me just go ahead here and tap on edit room and see if I can rename this. I can't remember how to rename a room. So there we go. So there's this room there. I could merge it. I could divide it. There's names. If I just tap on name, you can do a custom name, but I know that this is a bathroom, so I'm just going to set that as a bathroom. And it's as easy as that to name it. Now, where the vacuum cleaner actually is, and I just go, yep, cool, updating map. And it has a bit of a think. And so what's good about this is that you can set the vacuum cleaner to only vacuum certain rooms, which is really nice, because so you can see here that I recently vacuumed the kitchen, and that was a test that we did yesterday, and we'll go into that in a bit. So that's some of the features of the map. You can see that there is the RoboVac, and if you tap on it, then you can see all the features that you've got here in your dock. So you can empty the dock, you can wash, you can dry. So you can tell it to do these things manually. It will do them automatically as it's doing its thing, but you can go in here and set it to do manually. You've got dock settings. You can say, wash the mops every 15 minutes. You can do washing mode balanced hot water, but you can go in here and you can go, right, well, you can make it light, you can make it deep, so suitable for occasional deep cleaning. You can set room temperature, you can say warm water. So there's a lot of stuff. I really, really like how on the surface, the app is quite basic and quite simple, because you can just come in here, you can select and you can just go play, and you go mop vac, go ahead, mop and vac, and it'll just go ahead and do its things. But if you want to go deeper, you can go deeper. So you can set it to vacuum balanced or turbo or max or really, really quiet. You can have extreme water flow. You can have high water flow. You can have custom gently, and then you can go in here and do, you know, customized stuff. You can go cleaning couch. You can clean stuff once, you can clean stuff two. You can go a standard route, or you can go a fast route. It's just, the amount of stuff in here is fantastic. You can set a sequence. So, right, well, first do this, then do that. If you want to go in here and, you know, go in and dig deep, you can really, really dig deep. Then within the vacuum ones, you can set these. One of the things that I really loved about this is that with the dock, I can't remember exactly where the setting was. In here, duration, dry. Basically, yeah, I can't remember where it was, but there was a setting where you can set the dock to only charge the robot at particular times. Now, why that's important for us, it's probably not important for most people. But so we've got solar, we've got a house battery. So generally, we try and charge things and use energy requiring things like washing and drying and stuff. We use it during the day on a sunny day. We try and not do that during the night, because that's going to take energy away from the battery, and we might not get through the night using the battery. So being able to set this to only charge at certain times, really, really cool. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with the app. There is so much settings and functions and functionality, and it all works really well. So, you know, again, you can see here in the main app, you can have level of recognition. So you can go in here and you can say, right, well, you want to recognize stuff, you know, have these different routines. You can set it to have, to have routines in terms of it will vacuum after every meal. So, you eat meals at 6. Yeah, it's just, yeah. The app is great. Some really nice animations. So, when it's washing the mat, it does this cool animation that I'm playing on the video now. Yeah, the app's really, really good. The vacuum cleaner also talks to you. So in terms of when it's doing stuff, it'll let you know when it's doing stuff, which is quite cute. Obviously, you can turn all the stuff off if you want, but I actually like all the functionality and all the stuff that you can do with the app. So that is a brief overview of some of all the things that you can do in the app. So yeah, app, I'm very impressed with, really, really good. But how does the RoboRock Qrevo C actually function as a robot vacuum cleaner? Well, so we've got a house. So our house is about 97 square meters. I know this because the first vacuuming that it did was about 97 square meters, or at least the floor area that we had it do was 97 square meters. And I had it do one round of the whole house. And I was thoroughly impressed. Like, again, because this is a middle of the road, I know, look, $1,300, $1,700 normal. That's a lot of money for a robot vacuum cleaner. Well, it's a lot of money for most things, but it is the middle of the road. It's not the fanciest. It's not the cheapest. So I wasn't really expecting much, but I was really pleasantly surprised. Like, it did a really, really good vacuum of the house and mop of the house. Like, we probably, again, we deliberately didn't sweep, like we hadn't swept for about 4 or 5 days, and we hadn't mopped for about, I don't know, a week or 2, maybe 3, and it did a really, really good job. So just as an overall, set it up, nothing fancy, go scan the house, now do a vacuum and a mop, I think it did a really, really good job, particularly for the price. Then I did a test yesterday where I set up a few obstacles. I put some soy sauce and some flour on the floor. I put a cable on the floor. I put a couple of obstacles. I put some random bag of bagels because that's just what we had available. And I set it off to go and clean the kitchen area where I'd set up all those obstacles. And you can see in the app that it did actually find all 3 obstacles. The thing is, with some of the obstacles, it noticed them right away. So you can see there on the left-hand side, it saw the chip bag, and it went around the chip bag. On the right-hand side, it saw the plastic little container. Now, the plastic container was see-through. So I appreciate that it didn't see it until it bumped into it, because with it being see-through, maybe the LiDAR. By the way, did I mention that the way that this scans your house is actually got like LiDAR, so it's got like radar to scan the house? Probably should have mentioned that way in the beginning in the features and functions. So it uses LiDAR. It doesn't have a camera, and I think that's why it bumped into the the clear case. But once it bumped into it, it knew it was there and it knew to avoid it. The bagels, I was really impressed with how it went around the bagels and still managed to clean around the bagels. Got the soy sauce up, got the powder out, the flour out, no problem. The cable, and I tested this a couple of times, it never saw the cable. So don't leave cables around the house because it doesn't notice cables, and it went right over the cable and sucked it up. So at least in my brief tests, like I did 3 tests, it didn't see the cable, it went up. When it was doing the big wash in the house also, it didn't notice the little handles, little straps that were off of Archie's school bag, and it went over them as well. Now, it didn't suck them up, like it managed to get off of it, but it didn't see them. So this is where I think if it had a camera, it would probably do a slightly better job than this. The other reason why I think a camera, like I was really hoping I would get one with a camera. The other reason why I thought the camera would be good, and RoboRock do make models with cameras, but this one doesn't have cameras, is that if you're not home and you set the RoboRock to go and have a clean around the house and it gets stuck, it'll give you a notification that it has gotten stuck. So that's pretty cool. It'll let you know what's happening. But without the camera, you've got no idea why it's stuck or how it's stuck. Whereas, again, I'm stretching reality here a bit, but I could see this happening where you could, let's say you're at the office, you could log in with your phone, check the camera, spin it around if you're able to spin around, see what it's stuck on or where it's stuck, and get it to move back or unstick it, sort of thing. So I think if you are looking at one of these, having a camera is definitely not a deal breaker, but I can see where having a camera would be more advantageous in some niche cases, not that often, but it would be useful. The other thing that I noticed, which I thought the RoboRock did really, really well, is we just left our dining room table with the chairs underneath the table, and so the legs are all there, and it actually did a phenomenally good job of navigating around the legs of all the chairs and all the tables and everything to clean under the dining room table. It did take a while, but it did do a really, really good job from that. One last point on that test. So I did that test yesterday, and I did notice one little thing, that the floor smelt just a bit damp, and I think that's because we just put water in the tank. And RoboRock does recommend, they do have their own cleaning solution that you can put in the clear water, so that it does have a bit of cleaning solution when it does the mopping as well. I think that would help, just to help with aromas and stuff, because otherwise you're just mopping with water, and it is better to use cleaning solution. They didn't send us any of their cleaning solution. That is one bit of feedback that I would give them, is it would be nice if they just gave us like a little satchel or something, just a little, give us a little freebie of the cleaning solution. And I mean, I'm probably going to get some anyway to test it, but I think the mopping would work better if you did have the cleaning solution, just from a point of view of aromas and stuff like that. Like it wasn't bad, but I can see how you just wet the floor. It's better if you have a bit of solution just to help with make it smell nicer. Why not, sort of thing. The other thing is that, again, why cleaning solution I think would have made a difference is Mandy came to me this morning because she noticed that the floor where we did the testing in the kitchen, and that was, I did 2 rounds, the floor just looked a bit not quite right. And she showed me this, so I'm playing this now. You can see there was still quite a lot of dirt. Now, again, this was overnight, so it had time to get a bit more dirty. But I think what happened was, particularly because I didn't spill water on the floor, I spilled soy sauce on the floor. And soy sauce is, not clear. So because the mops were only mopping with water, they didn't quite get every little bit of soy sauce, even though when you looked at it, it looked absolutely fine. So that is just one little thing. And I think that's not so much the fault of the RoboRock, that's more if I had put cleaning solution in the water, I think it probably would have done a better job. Hi, quick side note. So for those who've watched some of my videos before, you'll be quite well aware that sometimes, in fact quite a lot of the times, I can be a bit of an idiot and I do quite silly things. And I did something quite silly with this. So I went to just get some footage of the RoboRock. I started editing what you were watching just before, and I went to get some footage of the bottom because I wanted to show you the rollers. And I turned it over, and it was a horror show because I hadn't thought that making the RoboRock go over twice a whole bunch of sweet soy sauce might be a bit sticky. So the rollers had gunky sticky soy sauce all over the little side brush thing. All the brushes were stuck together from the sweet soy sauce. And when you think about it logically, yeah, so if there's something sticky, not necessarily sweet, but just sticky and liquid in front of the RoboRock, maybe wipe that up with a towel or, a luppy or something, a wet wipe or what have you, before you have the RoboRock go over it, because the vacuum cleaner part goes over it before the mop part goes over it. So, yeah. The good part of this is that I can now confirm that it's actually really easy to open up the bottom of the RoboRock and take the rollers out, clean them in the sink. So I just, gave them a good hose down in the sink with some warm water. I got, paper towels, doused in some warm water. I then scrubbed the insides out, and just warm water and a bit of, good old elbow grease. And it's actually really easy to clean if you are silly like me and mess it up a bit. So, yeah. Well done, RoboRock. Now back to the video. So that is my look at the RoboRock Qrevo C. Now there's tons of different models of RoboRocks and robot vacuums and that kind of stuff. In fact, I struggle a little bit to find information about this particular model because I think it's called something else overseas. I think this is the RoboRock Qrevo S overseas. And on the box, it actually says the Qrevo 5AE, whereas RoboRock said to me, no, this is the Qrevo C that we're seeing. So I think in Australia it's the Qrevo C, and in other places it's called other things. So just in case you're looking for this particular model, those are some of the other names that I think I found for this particular model. Look, overall, I think, again, for the price, it's done a really, really good job. Like, I'm looking at the floor now, and yeah, if I had bought this and I was using it, again, the little things of it not seeing the cables, not ideal, to be fair, I very rarely leave cables lying around on the floor, so it's not a huge issue. But yeah, I found it worked really, really well, did a really good job of cleaning, and I absolutely love all the features and functions that you have in the app. So yeah, I think if you are looking for a robot vacuum and you're not looking for the priciest and you're not looking for the cheapest, I think this is quite a good middle of the road yeah, option for you. So yeah, that is my look at the Qrevo C from RoboRock. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was useful. If you have found it helpful or useful, please like and subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much for your support, and we'll catch you on the next one. Safe and happy, whatever you're doing. I'm an idiot. No, let me start that again. See, if I was being cheesy, I would have gone safe and happy sucking, but I could have gone safe and happy mopping. That's a cleaner. That's a cleaner. Oh! I'm so punny. I need to get out more.